I hope you're having a decent day. But I want to talk about this thing that actually aggravates me. How Americans choose to be profoundly ignorant and moronic. And it's not all. Let's make that clear. It's not all. But it's over 50%. Choose to be moronically ignorant and stupid. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And the biggest offenders of this is half the Supreme Court. More than half, actually. These people were put in position to protect this document. The United States Constitution. I just printed one page of it because I didn't need both pages. I didn't need all the pages. I just need one page. This document, their job, their entire job is to protect that document. They're getting paid by the American people to protect that document. And it's amazing how they make ignorance, greed, and hate, those three things, the trifecta. Ignorance, greed, and hate. They make those three things make them ignore the job they have. The one job, it's just one job. Protect this document. You have to be profoundly ignorant to not realize how monumentally good the United States Constitution is. You can fight it, you can argue it, you can say it's not perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. Okay, it's not perfect. And here's the other part. The United States Constitution wasn't finished written. It's a draft. And I'm pretty sure it says it. Again, I am no scholar. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not some genius. I'm just someone who looking into the United States Constitution. Because I had to learn it. I had to follow it. And after the past, say, 4 or 5 years, past 10 years, it's become, make that 16. When the first time Trump went in office, his first time around, it's become very important. So I've been paying attention, more attention to it. And if you actually just take your hatred, take your arrogance, take your ignorance and shove it way out of the way and actually start looking at the United States Constitution as it was written and as you learn more about why it was written the way it was written, you start to realize how monumentally good the Constitution truly is. And I say this to my dying day, it's one of the best piece of documentation ever written. And I want to explain this. It wasn't written by one person. It wasn't written by one voice. It wasn't written by one opinion. And most importantly, it was never written by one side. Remember, when this document was written, it was right after a war. That's why this document came into place. There was something before it, and I forgot what the thing was before it's called. I keep forgetting the name. There's a document before this one. Okay? That was in place already. And they had to rewrite it because of the war. And the United States Constitution came up. That's how I'm understanding it. That's why the document even come into play. All right? They saw that the country going in a really bad place. I keep saying it. These dudes, these were some really smart people. They probably didn't know how smart they were, but they were very smart. They realized that the country wasn't going in the direction they wanted to go in. It was literally, if they kept going in the way it was going, it was going to fail. Catastrophically fail. It was inevitable. So they said, okay, how can we prevent the country from falling apart? A binding contract. A contract between the government and its people. Say this again. A contract between the ruling class and its people. The government. That's what we call it. Okay? They wanted to get rid of the entire ruling class, but create a governing body that will lead the country in the right direction. And this is literally the draft, the manifesto, whatever the hell you want to call it, the direction of where the country needs to go in. That's what this is. It's just the direction. They literally labeled it, we the people. Here's the direction. We the people. This is how my brain's perceiving this. Okay, and you just, as you start going through this document, it starts to make it quite freaking obvious which route they were going. And again, think about this. They didn't have to include the losing party. But to prove the point they wanted to prove, the more you think about this, it's mind-blowing how ignorant most of Americans are. And yes, it's more than half, so that's most of Americans truly are. How ignorant they are. How they take this freaking document and let hate, greed, and ignorance, especially the Supreme Court, when their job is to protect this fucking document. Their only job is to protect this document. That's their only job. Protect this. But they let their ignorance, their greed, and their hate let them literally burn in this document. Think about this. The entire country is built, ran, and kind of set up around this fucking document. This is like the most worshipped document in the United States history. I think. There's probably one bet more than this, but I don't know it because this is the only one I know. If there's one, please let me know. Correct me. But I think this is the one that they have this thing on the bulletproof. Come on, bomb-proof, bulletproof security to the woozah to protect this thing. That's how important this thing truly is. But for some reason, ignorance, hate, and greed let the 7, 9, 10, 12 people, whatever the hell they are, ignoring the one fucking job they have. Protect this document with your life. That's the only job the Supreme Court have. Screw your affiliations. To hell with your affiliations. To hell with the way you're thinking. To hell with all your biases and blunders and fears and whatever. Your job is to make sure no one desecrates this document. That's their only job. Follow it to the absolute best of your ability. Do not rewrite it. Do not put words in. Do not exchange words for what you feel like you want to exchange it for. Do not rewrite it don't think about it any other way than it was fucking written. Remember, these people go to colleges. These people they spend years in courts and everything else before they can get to the position to protect this document. They have to prove that they can protect this document. I mean, that's one of their jobs. Congress was supposed to implement people who would protect this document over their own wants or needs. It may sound like I'm reaching here, but this document is the only fucking document, that's holding the United States together. This literally is the only thing that's holding the United States together. This thing, the United States Constitution. Y'all don't have to believe me. I don't care if you believe me or not, but I'm telling you what the facts are. How I perceive them. Is there another way? Probably. Could be 100 other ways. But how I see it, this is the only document that's truly keeping the United States together. The only thing. People who are willing to follow this document. We the people. All manners are made equal. Right there. Let me see what it is. Of the United States and order form, blah 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 blah. I can't read this thing because I can't see it. Okay, I should have bring the typed out version so I can actually read it. But in here it says all men are made equal. Direction. We need to go in this direction. That's what this document is saying. All men are made equal. Get rid of your fears, your biases, and your hatred. Your greed and ignorance need to go also. That's what the document is. That's if you read the United States Constitution in its original state without any of the amendments, that's what it's saying. We're made equal, and we need to find a way to work together. Share our resources, pull the countries together, and make one. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Bring me to the saying. United we stand, divided we fall. That's the concept. In the heading, united we stand, divided we fall. We the people. Nutshell. I can't seem to fathom how much ignorance it must take, how much hatred it must take, how much greed it must take to make none of that make sense to you. United we stand, divided we fall. Here's another way. United we prosper, divided we fail. That's what the United States Constitution was written to prevent. The country from failing. One of the greatest pieces of documentation ever written. And again, coming back to the point I was making. It wasn't just written by I forget, I think it was the Democratic Party, the Republican Party at the time. At the time, it was a Republican Party. And you can scream, oh, I see the Republican Party is the greatest. No, you absolute morons. The Republican Party at that era is not a Democratic Party in this era. And at some point throughout time, again, the parties will flip again. They flipped and they will flip again. And they will keep doing that probably endlessly. It will take a cycle, then it will flip one way, and it'll go to another cycle, then it flips the other way. That's how stuff works. In every country on the planet, that's how it works. One era, the parties are like this, and next time, the parties are like that. This is why you can't be tied down to any one of these parties. This is not some football game where it don't affect your life, just people running, chasing after a ball. This is not hockey where people are just chasing after a little puck. This is not volleyball where people are just bumping a ball around. This is not cricket where people are smacking a ball around a bat. This is not baseball. Same thing. Hit a ball and run. This is none of those. You cannot be tied to parties regardless of if your grandpappy was a fucking Republican. You have to always choose the person qualified for the job, regardless of what name follows them. And the Constitution literally shows you that in proof. This is a proof that parties do not matter. It literally says in here too, party lines should not matter. It says it in here. The more I learn about that document, the more it blows my mind. how far ahead these people were actually thinking. And they were thinking pretty fucking far ahead. I forget when it was, like 1776 or 8613 or whatever, fucking some way back then. Because remember, and I made a video before, when the Constitution was written, again, it was a draft. They wrote this draft up and said, okay, this is what we're going to use for right now. As time goes on, we need to make changes, aka amendments. They were supposed to end slavery in 1882 or 83, whatever the fuck that number was. Okay? Everything had an expiration date. Why? Because you can't just stop stuff like that. You have to give stuff time to work. Bad policies, you can see when a policy is bad, aka tariffs, you can see those effects quite soon, actually. But the longer it takes for you not to reverse these policies, the worse it gets, aka what's going on right now at the time of the recording of this video. So they didn't want you to stop slavery because it takes time. The entire ecosystem at that time in the 1800s, slavery was just a thing. Okay, so they had to slowly remove slavery out of the equation and implement better policies and procedures that would make the transition a lot easier on the people. The people. So everything in the Constitution was written in mind to protect the people, not the country. Not the place you stand on, not the dirt you're living in, not the muddling, blah, blah, blah. They were built, all of this was built to protect the people because the people is the country. America will always be its people, not the land. And they know this. I keep telling these people were fucking smart. And again, I can't stress this enough. They didn't have to let the Confederacy, I think it was a Confederacy and the other one. I can't remember the name of the two groups. Okay, I call it Republican Party, but it was a Confederacy and the other one. I cannot remember names. I'm not some historian. Okay, all right. But they still let the only reason why the Confederacy stick because the Confederate flag's still flying around. You don't see the other flag nowhere. All you see is the Confederate flag. You don't see the other flag anywhere. Even though they won the war, the loser flag is still flying around, and the winning flag you don't see it anywhere. I mean, it's somewhere, but not places where you'd see it just driving around on your public streets. It's not everywhere like that. So the losers lost the war. They never stopped fighting the war. This is why we're in the position we're in now. But even then, even though they lost the war, think about this. They still include them in the writing of this document. They didn't have to. Let that sink in. They never had to include them in making this document. They could have just said, we're going to do this. Fuck all of y'all. But they didn't. They include them. Why? Because they are part of we the people. You can say bad things about this document. You can say it was never built to end slavery, which is a complete, utter lie. Or it was never built to include other people. Complete, utter lie. It was built. It was written in the time at the height of slavery. Some of these people owned slaves and they were willing to end slavery. Think about that. They were willing to end slavery because the country would have fell if they didn't end all that nonsense and stop this fucking fighting amongst the people, because the people again is the country, not the dirt you stand on. Why the most important, and I'm gonna end it with this, why the most important document in the world, in the country, not the world, the country. The country that the country you claim you love, because it's a claim. Your actions Right now, MAGA's actions, Republicans' actions are not showing this. The country you claim you love, which is the people, you're going to ignore the most important document that literally claims we, the people, are made equal. The document was written to end slavery, end the fighting, end all the conflicts, and work to build a better nation. United. It's in the fucking name. United States. United. United. They probably murdered every person on this list, every person that wrote this document, just because they lost the fight, because they never wanted to be united in the first place. And that's why this country has never been united. Because they let their hate, their ignorance, and their greed lead them. And they've been leading them for centuries. And for some apparent reason, they can't seem to learn that they need to stop. But hey, what the hell do I know?